Hello and welcome back to 1874. I'm your host, Dan Bardell, joined by, for the love of Paul McGrath's, Neil Dunworth, as we get together again to do another tier list. And this time we're looking at centre-backs, and I'm going to be honest, it is a monster task. Villa have had a lot of centre-backs in the Premier League era, or probably since 1993 I've gone with, which is when I started going down to the mighty Villa Park, which is my church. This show is sponsored by Match Bingo. Head to 1874.io/Match Bingo and you can sign up, and that really helps us as a channel. If you do that, you'll be able to put as little as £2 on to get some bingo cards around all the sport that's on offer at the moment, including the Women's Euro. So do that. If you sign up, that's really, really helpful to us as a channel, and we really appreciate it, and we really appreciate Match Bingo's continued support as well. Neil, you've had a peek at the amount of centre-backs. I haven't actually counted how many I've got on this tier list, so we're going to have to try and be a little bit quicker than we were last time when we did goalkeepers, because there's a hell of a lot there.
There could be upwards of 30.
I've put this as prominent centre-halves. I think all these will have played 30-plus games for Villa. I'm going to be, except for maybe one who I put in for comedic value. I reckon all the rest probably played over 30 games for Villa. So I'll get it up on the screen now. There we go. You'll see, and I'll say again, actually, if you got this on audio, you're better off hopping over to YouTube. It'll be a much better watch than it will be a listen. But, you know, if you haven't got the luxury of doing that, then that's fine. Listen to it and we'll make it as hospitable towards you as we can. So we've got 6 tiers, Neil. We've got tier 1, which is God. Tier 2, which is club legend. Tier 3, which is icon. Tier 4 is average. Tier 5 is titled funny. And tier 6 is weight off our shoulders. So they're the 6 tiers, weight off our shoulders obviously being the lowest tier, Neil. And we start with a player I was never that keen on. It's a good job we didn't do these kind of shows back in the day under Martin O'Neill, because I would have always been very critical of this guy, although some fans like his wholehearted approach. But I never rated him for Villa. James Collins.
I think James Collins was part of a good partnership, and that was the reason. I think that was really the biggest reason for, I suppose, him being fond. But look, we've been held fondly by a lot of fans. But like, I think he kind of just screams average, because he was and I think probably, this is probably the wrong time to say this to you, Dan. No, but maybe there should be something between average and icon. But
it is the wrong time to say it to me now. I think we don't want to be horrible to people. Obviously, there's certain people that will go in weight off our shoulder. I think average is like, if you're a Premier League centre back, you're obviously not a terrible footballer, are you? No. If you played in a team that finishes top 6, I think average is probably fair. I have put a good section in there because I do think it probably needs. Would you be tempted for James Collins to move into good, or would you say average?
No, but I like, spoiler alert for when Dickie Dunn comes up later on, that's he was the better of the two for me.
That's exactly what I thought, and I was suddenly looking at it and thinking, no, I'm not sure there's anywhere for Richard Dunn to go there. So we have created a new category upon Neil's guidance, and it was the correct guidance from Neil. Although it would have been nice if he'd have said it to me before we started the show. Right, next up, we've got Tommy Elphick. Good character. Villa never saw the best of him. Really appreciated playing for Villa. We've had him on this channel before, and he's a really, really good guy, Tommy Elphick. Obviously, Bournemouth assistant manager right now. Is he going to be on the average as well, do you think?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, I think he is, because we have to weigh him up against who else is here. Who else is on this list too. The exact right defender for what we needed at that very moment in time.
Yeah.
And once again, formed a very good partnership at times with James Chester. I know both of them were kind of like, at times, sometimes they were like ships in the night, with injuries and stuff like that. But I think he's exactly what we needed at that time. We needed leaders in the dressing room. We needed grown-ups in the dressing room after what we came from after we got relegated, and very much so. I think it was a good signing for what we needed at the time. Didn't cost a whole pile. Would always be remembered for the Tony Jaa, bringing him into his office, which you can read more about in Waking Giant by Matt.
Oh, is that in there? I've done pods with Tommy, and he's told that story. I haven't. Greg's book hasn't arrived for me yet. Gary Cahill, the one that got away, did have his moments in a Villa shirt, of course, including an unbelievable goal against our local rivals. I'm thinking he might, almost in a weird way, be a candidate for icon. Or is he good? I'm not sure, Neil.
Immediately, I thought good. For me, he actually scored that beauty of a goal on the day that I had my 21st birthday party.
Okay.
Yeah, so I remember I just arrived to the venue,
Long
didn't get to
time
see the
ago.
game live. Yeah, 19 years ago. Didn't get to see the game live. And Match of the Day was on when there was highlights actually. It was highlights on some channel was on when I arrived and I saw the goal and I had heard it. I listened to it in the radio, the game, but I didn't actually see how good the goal was. And I remember going, "Oh my God, what an absolute spoiler." Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's my Gary Cahill story.
Was it your interview with Martin O'Neill where he talked about Villa fans remembering him selling Gary Cahill? I've heard him talk about it somewhere. I have a feeling it may have been on your show. Was it your show when you interviewed
Um,
Martin O'Neill?
I can't remember. I'm going to be
Okay, great
honest. It was
stuff.
that long ago.
So really making an impact on this show so far, Neil. Yeah, I heard him say it somewhere anyway. That he kind of justified it at the time as to why he did it. But he could have been a candidate for icon. Gary Cahill could have gone on to be a club legend, really, such was his ability and obviously what he achieved in the game generally. But I think good's probably a fair spot to put him in. Next up. Again, I think this guy could go in a few different categories. I actually always had a soft spot for him when he was at Villa, and then obviously he ruined that with the teams he went on to play for.
Me too.
Liam Ridgewell. He's a good goal-scoring centre-half, Liam Ridgewell. I think he got 5 goals in one season from centre-back.
Yeah, I always had a soft spot when he was at Villa, but obviously he went to move on to other clubs that obviously tarnished his reputation for me. But I think probably, look, he's definitely James Collins, Tommy Elphick level. You know, went
I
on
thought he
to
might be
be
able to go in funny, because he obviously played for West Brom. He played for Blues. Scored an own goal against us
I
as
can't
well.
remember his tattoos. I remember thinking his tattoos were brutal.
Yes, we are.
I can't remember. They might just have been his son's name on his forearm or whatever. And apologies to anybody who's a similar one, but I can't remember what his tattoos were. But I've got another vague memory of me going, God, Christ, his tattoos are brutal.
He basically went to Blues to captain them straight away and then scored an own goal against us.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was terrible for us, Liam Ridgewell. I've got to be honest. I thought he was fairly useful in a time when we weren't great. Now, next up, Martin
if we
Larson.
were a Portland Timbers podcast, he would probably go on the icon. It was part.
Yeah, but he's probably going club legend, in fact, at Portland Timbers. Now, someone who I think may end up in club legend, Neil, Martin Larson. Do you think that's fair? Oh no, he's not.
Here's one. I would have him. I'm going
to put him there to start, and I might move him when you've done your spiel.
I have a pair of Martin Larson match worn kind of 3/4 links. The 3/4 links on most people, they're actually full links on me. And I talked about it in Claret and Blue. But the reason I would have him in icon is he was like the amount of goals he scored and just every kind of picture of him, the intensity in his face, that flowing blondie mane, and obviously the fact that he was like McGrath incarnate, and the fact that his knees were bad, and then all of a sudden he was coming into this team and he was rising all boats. I'd have no problem with him being in either. I'd have no problem. But the reason that I would have him in icon and not in club legend is again because of his partnership with Melberg. And I'd probably have Melberg in there in club legend because of his longevity. So I suppose it depends on what way you want to. Like, I have no problem with him going in club legend.
That was my initial gut, was club legend, captain of the club. Although club legend is literally like Ian Taylor is club legend, isn't it?
And hard. Martin Larson didn't give out jerseys the end of the day that he left.
No, he didn't. He did. I was very upset when he did his farewell in front of the whole centre when he had to retire due to injury. I remember that really upsetting me because I did really like Martin Larson. We might move him down. As someone that's departed Villa fairly recently, Diego Carlos. He was in our top 10 transfers, one of these tier lists that I did with Max Stokes, and I think he may have got put in the bottom category. Still follows me on Instagram off the back of that, though, so that's good. Kind of, I think an average maybe, because he was part of a team that finished in the top 4, so he can't be terrible.
Yes, I was going to say average. Now, like I was probably one of the most critical podcasters of Diego Carlos since time at Aston Villa. But I recognize he was average. I recognize he was a good footballer. I just felt that what Unai Emery was trying to do could not be achieved with Diego Carlos. But you have to like as regards footballers, he was a better footballer than Elphick and Jay and what you call him there, Collins. But he was worse than Gary Cahill. So yeah, I think averages.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Probably wasn't built for a high line and got caught out with that at times, but also. When Villa beat Manchester City and Arsenal in the same week, he was arguably man of the match in both.
Exactly.
So if you arguably man of the match against those two teams at that time.
And Bayern Munich, he was brilliant against Bayern Munich.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, actually, you're right. And he come in a bit from the cold around that time, if I recall. He was brilliant. In the big games, actually, He was there, wasn't he? He was the not so big games that seemed to be a problem for Diego Carlos. Right, next up, we've already spoken about him, and he's banging him straight in.
Straight in.
Club legend, Olaf Melberg. Still a beautiful, beautiful man today. Was out with Jack Grealish, wasn't he, earlier on in the summer break? Just nowhere else for Olaf Melberg to go, but club legend. Just one of those players that comes from abroad and just gets it.
Absolutely. Signed from Racing Santander. I remember the day he was signed. I was in work experience. The same. It was in around the same time as well, not the same time. I was actually in working experience in the same company that I was in when we signed Peter Schmeichel, but it wasn't in around the same time. One of the
We love
reasons
hearing
why
about your work experience on this channel, Neil. It is one of the
it's one of the highlights for a lot of people. But it was him and my dad are the two reasons why I grew a beard and kept it, because he's majestic, and my dad's is majestic as well. So,
great.
why not?
Have I met your dad? Did I meet your dad when we came to Dublin? Or I imagined that.
You met my dad in Dublin, yeah, you did.
Great memories. I've just about remembered that. I've just pulled it from somewhere in my brain that I have met your dad, Neil. And one day, hopefully, we'll get together and do one of those events in Dublin again, because I did very much enjoy it. So yeah, Melberg, club legend. I've got one of those shirts that he gave out on his last game. I was there at West Ham 2-2 draw, I think it was, in his last game. Just what a guy. What a brilliant, brilliant footballer and a brilliant defender for Aston Villa. Right then, this next one's a very niche. I don't know whether everyone will remember him. Again, I had a soft spot for him because I think I could relate to him when I was younger. Ricardo Skimeka.
Paddy would have him in weight off our shoulders, but that's Paddy's story
to
tell.
Oh, Paddy.
Just because of it's actually a really funny. Actually, I want to be funny, but you can put him wherever you want, because Paddy has a really funny story to tell about Ricky Skimeka back in the early 90s.
Okay, I'd like to hear that story. Paddy will have to indulge me at some point.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Did you know that you probably do know this. I'm half Italian, so both my mum's parents are Italian, and Riccardo Scamecca is obviously half Italian. So when I was a child, I found him quite relatable, because I was thinking, he's like me. Before he'd even played a game for Villa, I don't know why I did this. I did this to a few players. I wrote a letter and sent it to the club, to Riccardo Scamecca, and got a reply, got the autograph signed picture that I asked for in the post pretty quickly, actually. It probably was the first letter he ever received as a footballer, because he hadn't really played for the first team at this point. I think he'd just been on the bench a few times. And he was England under-21 captain at the time. And I remember getting that letter and my dad saying to me, "You hold on to that. That'll be worth a lot of money when you're older, because he'll go on and he'll play for England, because he's England under-21's captain." 0 caps for England. I don't know where the letter is, but I could relate to Ricardo Scamecca at the time now.
As I say, the reasons for me putting him in those two were just because the funny situation about Paddy meeting him on a night out, and as I say, it's Paddy's story to tell, so I won't tell it here.
All right, we'll put it. I'm imagining Paddy didn't have a nice time on his night out with Ricardo Scamecca, but I think we'll just put him in average. Lovely letter. Wrote me a lovely letter. I'm sure he had lovely handwriting from my childhood memories. Yeah, I should dig that out. It's probably in the loft somewhere. Next up, and we've spoke about this guy before we came on, Neil, Nathan Baker. You want him in funny, don't you?
I was just saying, because we were trying to figure out what the funny category was going to be, who's going to be in there. No, I'd have
put in for a couple of players, to be honest, that weren't the two that we've got in funny right now.
The only reason I wanted to put him in funny was because he had a tractor beam and a magnet on the middle of his face, and he used to always get a belt of the ball in the middle of his face. Now, he was a Lionheart, so I don't think it's fair. A very good time for him. He's gone on now to become a chartered accountant, I think, is it at the moment? Or is
the mortgage advisor, I thought.
Mortgage advisor, that's what it is. Yeah. So, but you know what? I'd probably have him in average. I've got good memories of him, and went on to have a pretty average career afterwards. I played with Bristol City and so on, and when he got out before the time got to him, so
yeah, he did.
Yeah. The only reason I said funny was because the amount of times he get the ball in the face was just it was just chronic. Like,
he was an interesting Villa career. I thought him and Chester were a good partnership in that first year in the Championship. I thought he did well in that year. My memory of the year before is we, for some reason, let him go out on loan somewhere. I can't remember exactly where he went on loan, and we replaced him with Thiago Alore, who never really played a game.
Yeah,
so that was a great move. I wonder, where did he go? I can't remember. My memory's failing me here. Next up, could be a contender for funny. Could be there should just be a rubbish section here, but White Off Our Shoulders is probably that section. Does Bjorn Engels going White Off Our Shoulders, Neil? Our first entry into there? He wasn't very good, really, if we look back.
I think after that performance against Spurs, That's what I remember him for. I remember him for that, and the fact that his first game was his first game. No, yeah, well, I think it was against Bournemouth, and he played pretty well, even though we lost that day. And that was there that Dougie Luiz scored. I thought it would be hilarious to Photoshop him into a photograph that said Bjorn Hub, because of how good he was at heading the ball away. And I think that's still somewhere on the artist formerly known as Twitter. So you
No,
can go and dig that
I'm
one out.
certainly gonna look for it when we finish doing this show.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have a little peek for that now. Yeah, way off our shoulders. I remember that Spurs game. Horrible, horrible end to the game that wasn't it? It really was. Tyrone. Where does Tyrone go, Neil? Is he? I'd be very tempted for club legend, but probably I don't know, there's many people except for maybe his family that love Tyrone Mings as much as I do, so I'm very biased. I
It's
think he's
one
at
of
the
the
very
two.
least icon.
Yeah, yeah, he's one of the two for sure.
Which one do you
Like
think?
he's
Would we
he's
bracket him with
he's
Larson and Malberg?
I think if Martin Larson's in there, Tyrone Mings has to go in
Yeah.
there because, and the
I
reason
didn't
being
have
is
much persuasion
he's the
there.
catalyst for us getting into the Champions League. Like his arrival, getting out of the Championship after he arrived on loan, and the fact that he's been here, he's club captain, he's spiritual captain, should I say, really, of the team. And we miss him when he's out of the team. We protect him when he's in the team, and other players give out, or other fans of other teams give out to him. But we didn't lose a game with him in the team last year, so.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with him as club legend for
No,
sure.
I love him, as I say. Not many people love Tyrone Mings more than I do. I think club legend. I think when he leaves, we'll look back at him and think he was a really good player for Villa. I guess we forget he was actually quite expensive in the end when we
Yeah.
bought him. But he's been brilliant for this football club, and I still stand by that. I think we're a better team when Tyrone Mings is in it, and I think certain games would have gone a different way if Tyrone Mings had played in them last season. That's what I think personally, anyway. Next up, God rest his soul, Hugo Ekiog. Probably icon.
I had much more time for Ugo Hiag than I did for Gareth Southgate when he was at the club. Just thought he was
Yeah,
a good
good
footballer.
servant for the club. Brilliant
Tom McGrath
defender.
speaks incredibly highly of him. Incredibly highly of
He
Ugo
was
Hiag
brilliant,
as well.
mate.
Yeah.
He was on the right side of that back three. He was absolutely, but he wasn't the best on the ball. But as just a monster defender, he was absolutely excellent. I think the thing that taints it is the way he left. And I was in Middlesbrough last week doing an event and had to unfortunately speak about all the players and coaches that left Villa for Middlesbrough, and Hugo Ekiog was obviously one of them. Scored against us as well and celebrated, didn't he, in a 1-1 draw at Villa Park, I think, when he returned. But I think as time goes on, you can go back and you look back at what he was for this club, and for such a small fee as well from West Brom, if a fee at all. Absolute icon. Big Hugo was a wonderful defender.
And still, and I know it's like, I don't want this to come across as being crass, but the man has passed away, and he's still fondly remembered at most games at Villa Park. You'll see a flag being unfurled, or you'll see somebody with an Ugo Hiag shirt on. So people who saw him know how good he was.
I don't know what made me do it at the start of that season, but I've got the Luke Roper shirt that I have, the home shirt. Mine's got 5 Ekiog on the back, and it was in that video of me walking around Wembley. I'm assuming it must have been quite soon after he unfortunately passed. But he's on the back of my shirt, and absolute hero. Get him in the icon section, Hugo Ekiog. Next up, I think he has to go in funny. I think the next two have to go in funny now. Yoris Akora, scorer of one of the worst own goals I've ever seen in football, let alone for Villa. Had high hopes for it. Had one of the best YouTube compilation reels I've ever seen in my life when we signed him. Got injured
Football
straight
Manager
away.
legend as well.
Oh, yeah. Injury killed him. But he was part of us going down with a terrible points total. And then he scored the worst own goal you've ever seen and quickly departed. Was never seen again after that. He had that Twitter incident as well, didn't he, where he responded to some abuse and put hashtag bring polite when he went to say being polite, which probably sums up his time at Villa quite nicely in an apt way now.
When he joined the club, I was delighted. When he left the club, I was delighted as well, because I was so at the time I would have been avid Villa Talk and Hero and Villains chat room browser. I was so sick of people saying we need to play Joris Correa right back, we need to play him central midfield.
Oh God, yeah.
It was just it was like play him everywhere in centre half, and you're like going, well, no, how's about you just try and play him where he's supposed to be playing, and if you can't play there, get someone who can. There was an awful lot of shoehorning him in, but I think it's because he was so good in Football Manager, And I was the same. I really wanted him to pan out, but by the time he left, I was like, okay. Plus, you had also Tom Fox looking after the club. It was just a bad time for the club. Just ill memory, I think, of those couple of seasons. So, victim in the crosshairs. But the injury killed his career. Absolutely killed it.
I mean, due to a compilation, he was pinging the ball all over the place. I don't think I ever saw him ping a ball for Villa once. Also, I've got an interesting fact for you here, Neil. This is why I like doing these shows, because I like talking about the players like this more than I do about the legends. Learned to swim while he was at Villa.
I remember hearing that somewhere, actually. Yeah, he couldn't swim.
Couldn't swim until he came for Villa. Learned to swim. So he'll remember Villa fondly, I'm sure, when he picked up his 25 metres and his 50-metre badges and whatnot. But I think we have to put Akore in funny. I think he belongs in funny. And the next guy, I've obviously randomised this. These two have ended up together. Chris Samba. That's why I put this section in. Big Chris. Sometimes up front, sometimes on the bench, sometimes in centre back. Different positions for different needs now.
Steve Bruce's special weapon, Chris Samba.
It was so funny when we signed him. It's so funny. I remember just laughing.
Where was he? Was he somewhere? Was he after getting let go from somewhere in Russia?
Yeah, he'd come away from his contract was up. He'd left. Interestingly, when I was looking for an image of him earlier, I saw an image of him in the season before's kit, and I was like, Chris Samba did play for us the season before, but it was a trial game, and he was wearing the kit from the season before. We had him on trial, and then Brucey obviously just thought the next season, I need to sign this guy, and Dr. Tony, of course, allowed it. In he came, did okay in fairness. I do remember him having a couple of decent games, but I remember that first game of the season, in the second season of the Championship, Chris, and thinking, what are we? Really, what are we at this point?
It was like, do I have more memories of playing Chris Sutton centre half as well before, or was that maybe Martin O'Neill do that at Celtic? But
he did it at Celtic, I think.
It was one of those ones where you go, God, I just want somebody to be big and take up space in there, and they just did the complete opposite of where that player should have been playing. Yeah.
I told this story recently. I can't remember why I would have told it though. When I did a bit with Soccer AM, and I was at the training ground around the Championship time, and Jimmy Bullard was watching us train, and obviously hadn't followed the Championship and was just looking at some of our players and go, "Up on the whore, is that Mika Richards?" And he's like, "Oh my God, is that Chris Samba?" Like he just didn't know that these players played for us. They probably played and disappeared, some of them, but yeah, Chris Samba. What a funny song. I remember a good game at QPR away, I think. We won 2-1. Adoma scored twice. I remember Chris Samba having a good game at QPR away, but that was probably one of the only good games he had. Next one's interesting as well, Neil. Championship time. Played for us briefly in the Premier League, although I think he only played in the Cup when we got promoted. James Chester. What a boy. Rabbit named after him. Absolute hero of mine. But where does he go in this tier list?
For me here is he better than Gary Cahill?
Yes. You have to look at it at where we were at the time.
With Aston Villa. Yeah, exactly. That was where I was going with next.
I think
Icon. Is he better than Ugo Ehiogu?
Ooh. I think you could argue it. I'm not sure I agree, but I think you could argue it. I think he's definitely icon.
I think the season where he absolutely left his quarter of his soul on the field for Aston Villa,
yes,
would put him into that iconic era. Once again, other fans, other teams fans are going to come and look at this and go, "What? What are they doing having those journeymen there or whatever?" But it doesn't matter. It's about what did they actually mean to us for that season or whatever. And I think with icon, you could be an icon for one season. Like Hansen had a one-hit wonder, and you would say like that's their one thing. That's what they're iconic for. Having that one-hit wonder. And apologies to any Hansen fans. And I'm not saying that James Chester is a one-hit wonder either, but he had that one season where he absolutely took a decade off his life playing football for Aston Villa. Through injuries. So I think it's probably fair. He's not club legend. He's not God. He could be icon. He could be good. I'm okay to put him in the icon.
Lovely guy as well. Chat to him every now and again. Like, really appreciated being at Villa as well. Like, it meant a lot to him. The club means a lot to him now. Lovely family as well. So I think icon is the place for him. This is the next one again. I keep saying about everyone. An interesting one. Where did Axel Tuanzebe go? Is he good? I think he might. The second spell kind of maybe ruins it. I know that was the third spell, wasn't it? The third spell maybe ruins it a little bit, but that was a Steven Gerrard problem, not an Axel Tuanzebe problem. I think he might go in good.
He played his best football ever at Aston Villa.
Yeah. He's still a Premier League player because he joined Burnley, hasn't he, this summer? Just looking at the people in average, but I think for where we were at the time, I think that one season in the Championship, him and Mings had a good partnership. I think he probably goes in good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, you've seen he's suing Manchester United, isn't he, for negligence at the time he was
for his injuries.
he was there. This is a tough one because we've put Mings in club legend. Ezri Konsa's probably played more games for Villa, I would think. Has been part of the furniture now for a long time. He's severely underrated outside of the Villa circles, although he's arguably England's first choice centre half at the moment. So a lot of fans would say Ezri Konsa's been a better centre back for Villa than Tyrone Mings, who we've put in club legend. Where would you? I'm not sure where to put him, to be honest. I think again he could fall in a number of categories.
Played every single game in the Champions League. I think.
Yeah.
I hope. I think he has to go on club legend.
Do you think? So we're putting two of our current centre halves in club legend.
Well, they've finished in the highest position that Villa have finished in the most competitive league in the world. Like, I would put the top four finish. Like, it's our best finish ever in the Premier League era, and I know we finished second, I know, and everything like that. But the standard of competition in the Premier League is ridiculous. Currently, it's arguably harder than anything in the Europa League or you know, there will be 20 teams in the Premier League. 12 of them will be better than 12 teams in the Champions League.
I think if Mings is going in there, there's definitely a case for Konsa to go in there. He's just more understated, isn't it? That's just the type of player that he is. And I'm looking at what we've got left, and I don't think anyone else will be going in club legend looking at it. So, yeah, I think that's probably the right place, but people can feel free to disagree on that. Now, the man that had a whole section created for him, like Chris Samba, Jolly and Lescott, straight in the weight off our shoulders section. One of the worst representations of in a Villa shirt I think I've ever seen for someone that was supposed to be a Villa fan. I can never forgive him, you know. When I see him being a pundit and stuff, if I ever had to work with him, I don't know what I'd do. I could just never forgive him.
I don't think he's ever got a chance to tell his story either. I have to believe there was more going on in his life at that period of time than we know about.
Yeah.
Because I can't understand how, number one, he became so bad at football, and second of all, where out of nowhere, this guy who supposedly was supposed to have been like a smiley, happy-go-lucky captain in the dressing room, you know, solid individual, just became a complete and utter waste of time.
He's a bit of a victim of circumstance in some way as well, because things were done that shouldn't have happened. Like, why on earth would you give such an unpopular player the captain's armband to finish the season? Why on earth would you let him do an interview where he says it's a weight off our shoulders to go down? Also, a player that seemed to take great joy in scoring against Villa, scored a few goals against us and seemed to really enjoy it. So, yeah, he had a whole section. It's a bit harsh on Bjorn Engels to be next to him in some ways, but, you know, that's the bottom category. So I think
there's a couple more coming here, I think.
There's a few more about to join them in the bottom category in this tier list, that's for sure. One who isn't going to join them in the bottom category, obviously Neil's going to have a heavy bias here. Richard Dunn had a brilliant, as one-off seasons go, if you were to gauge a player on one season, he had as good a one season as many other Villa players have had who we rate highly, I would say.
He's firmly in the good category or above.
Yeah, okay,
good
fine.
category, I think.
I thought you might try to argue icon or something like that. So he's definitely good.
Like, if we didn't have the season we had last year, potentially you could. But then again, also, like, what really tarnishes all that time for me is just Martin O'Neill leaving in the circumstance he did. The whole feeling around the end of that was flat, and we never got what we needed to get. We only finished sixth, you know, in the league, which isn't a massive achievement. It's not a bad achievement, don't get me wrong. But like, we were supposed to be the team that was supposed to break the ceiling, and we couldn't even break the ceiling before the ceiling. You know, when we, like, in hindsight, when we were there. So.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Good. He was a good. He certainly had that first season. He was brilliant for Villa and didn't get on with Houllier really, and then came back and did okay in the season under McLeish, and then injuries really killed Richard Dunn. I remember the season under Lambert, the first season, kind of we were all like, if Richard Dunn comes back, we might just be able to sort this defence out. Richard Dunn next to Ron Vlaar, but he just never came back.
And Richard Dunn never forgave Houllier, and Houllier never forgave him for stuff there. Because I think there's another, there's some story about when the hand of God for Thierry Henry after that game. I think Houllier came back and had a bite at Richard Dunn.
Is that around the same time, was it? I didn't realise that.
There's a story around that. Yeah. I don't know is it around the same time. It could be, but there's a story around that whereby Houllier had to go at Richard Dunn after that because of that or something. And yeah, go dig it out. Go dig it out.
Interesting. Micah Richards will just bang him straight in right off our shoulders as well. Thoroughly likeable guy. A lot of stuff I don't think was his fault actually. around that time. Obviously, he was really struggling with fitness. I think there was insurance issues at the club as well that meant he kind of couldn't play but couldn't be released. So that was a problem. Nice guy, but he was truly an awful defender for Villa. Anyone who's playing in that defence the year we went down, you're probably going in the bottom section, unless you've scored a comical own goal like Yura Sakura.
Yeah, I'm okay with him in there.
Yeah,
He was. He laughs at Villa, his time at Villa as well, being a
he
pundit.
does. To be fair, he's a good sport.
He is, yeah. Some people take it as disdain. I just think he kind of went, listen, what I was supposed to do? What was I supposed to do? You know, the club couldn't let me go, and I didn't want to be there. So,
yeah. Pau Torres, I think we can whack in good. We don't need to dwell on that too much. Current player, obviously, who we talk about week in, week out for Villa on our podcasts. That night, average.
Scored a goal. Scored that goal against Chelsea. We beat Chelsea in his debut, if I'm not mistaken. I put him on average. Yeah.
Scored a goal against Arsenal as well, didn't he? He scored. He did score against Chelsea on his debut. But he also scored a late equaliser against Arsenal when we were 2-0 down in the second year. We finished 6th in a row under Martin O'Neill, when we were battling with them very much at that time. He was okay as a third, fourth choice centre back. That night was fine.
Am I right in saying that sometimes he got stick because he was the guy that we signed to let Gary Cahill go?
Yeah, that's not really his fault either, is it?
No.
But yeah, it does get mooted. That's for certain. Next one now, you might not be able to quite see who it is. Not the best image pick from me. Ronnie Johnson. He was good. The season we finished 6th under David O'Leary, him and Melberg had a really good partnership. He was a classy defender, Ronnie Johnson. I liked him. I remember being very fond of Ronnie.
Arguably one of Sir Alex's best ever signings.
Yeah.
Himself and Solskjaer. Solskjaer's probably his best ever signing, but this guy goes under the radar.
They must have had a good Scandinavian scout around that time to have got both of them, because that wasn't Ferguson's own work. I'm not having that was Ferguson's own work.
And they got him for half nothing as well, if I remember rightly. Good defender. Yeah, I'm okay. He was on his way down as a player then, but you know, he was exactly what we needed at that time. I'm okay with putting him in good. Yeah, he's better than the people below him.
Take away an O out of good, and what do you get now? You get God, and that's where Paul McGrath goes, right at the top, on his own. Nobody else going near him in this category. We've named a podcast after him, which tells you everything that you need to know. I would be the same. Kind of caught the last few years of him at Villa, but it's when you're young, you don't appreciate defenders. You're just looking at all the attacking players. But I know he's my dad's favourite ever Villa player. I know he's many others' favourite Villa player as well. A lot of people talk about him as being the best Villa player ever. You hear the ex-players that played with him talk about him. You realise what he's been through in his life. There's just no other player like him. So to have a category on your own and be called God, I think it says it all.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't need to say anything about him.
You've interviewed him as well, haven't you?
He is the man, the myth, the legend. He is all of them.
Yeah.
You know, he is just he's incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
The reason I actually started watching football in general is this man. So
yeah, there's no For the Love of Ian Taylor podcast, is there? Even though he's a legend, Paul McGrath is the man. Courtney Hawes. I mean, the last few years must have been an absolute travesty. I didn't mean to swear then. Must have been a travesty for this guy. Really difficult time for him. He's not been able to play football. Lots of problems with injuries, which is really, really unfortunate. I wouldn't be wanting to take the mick out of him and put him in. He was a decent player for Villa. I think just sticking him in average is fair.
Well, he scored a goal against Manchester United that just
a winner,
beating
Neil,
Manchester
not just
United.
A goal, a winner.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I wouldn't like. Yeah, I think again a guy who was a victim of circumstance again. You know, that time at Watford, he was gone to Watford for good, got injured, and then Watford decided, no, we're not going to pay him. We're not going to pay anything to him. We're not getting him sorted out. No, whatever kind of loophole there was in contracts. Villa, in fairness, comes back to Villa. Villa. I'd like to know the full story, but my understanding is, you know, Villa allowed him to rehab and everything, and kind of looked after him a small bit at Villa at Bodymoor, albeit he was training on his own and stuff. They didn't leave him in the lurch. But he's a guy I'd like to hear his story. I'd like to hear his side of the story.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I know people are going to say afterwards the house shouldn't be in there, but
no, I wouldn't be putting him in lumping him in with Richard, Lescott, and Engels. I don't think that would be fair. Let's put him there. Mr. Curtis Davies, man of the Midlands, still lives in the area. See him knocking around every now and again. Yeah, he did have a couple of good seasons, Curtis Davies. Suffered with Larson missing, really. Larson, the injury kind of that injury for Larson kind of almost spelt the end for Davis as well, didn't it? And they had a good partnership, but I'm not sure where to put him. Maybe average again.
I think so. Curtis Davis for me, yeah. I always love Curtis Davis. I always really
Yeah,
liked him.
same.
But again, one of the other things was play him at right back. Yes, because we played another
God,
person that's coming up on this list at right back as well. Everybody
yes.
play everybody at right back. And do you know what? Quite similar to the situation we're in at the moment. I don't know whether it was because we had a good group of defenders. Then people wanted to shoehorn everybody into that right back position, kind of similar to the way we are now.
Yeah.
But Curtis Davis was a pro's pro. He's very long career, and I just genuinely have nothing bad to say about him.
Not a fan of Martin O'Neill. I've done a pod with Davis, and he was not a fan of Martin O'Neill at all. And I don't think Martin O'Neill was a fan of him in the end either. There's some funny stories on both sides there. But yeah, Curtis Davis goes in average. Are we going to put Ron Vlaar in? No. Captain Ron Vlaar?
Ronnie Concrete. We were in danger going down that year when he smashed that goal in against Sunderland.
He's not fair to put him in with. He's better than Collins. And we've got Collins in good. I'm struggling to use my mouse here, which is a bit of a problem. So there he is. He's gone in. I've stuck him in good. Concrete Run was he was in a poor team, wasn't he?
Like there's an argument if he's in there, Curtis Davis should be in good as well. But I think I think it's like he's better than Elphick, he's better than Collins for me. Like again, Diego Carlos, we listed out the teams that he played against that he was man of the match in.
He cared, Vlad. He cared. He genuinely cared. I know he left on a free. He was linked with Man U, wasn't he? After he had a really good World Cup in Brazil, I think it was for Holland.
Yeah.
The penalty in the shootout in the semis, I think it was. But at that point, it was like, whoa, we need to keep this guy. Come on. And he stayed for another year. And then he left. He run down his contract and left.
Again, just the Paul Lambert years.
But I think he's a good defender, Ron Vlaar. Carlos Quella can join him in good as well, can't he? Oh, no, isn't it? Icon?
Yeah, why not? Again,
Icon? Average?
Some people want him an icon for his curly hair and things, but I remember there was a time whereby if he wasn't starting right back, we were stuck. And we were playing Nigeria Coker in right back position.
We couldn't possibly play an actual right back there. That wasn't in Martin O'Neill's tactics book, was it?
I would not be surprised if it was conversations playing Marlon Harewood at right back at times.
I'd have been all for that. Wait till we do the strikers tier list and Marlon finds himself in the God section. Then people are going to switch off from the pod.
Yeah, I'm okay with having him in there. I'm okay.
Okay. Where are you with Gary? Gareth Southgate's a difficult one. Villa fans don't like you.
It's okay, because I'm a lot lower than him than most people were. And then I know that a lot of, like, if I start saying, oh, he's average, people are like, no, it's the Irish guy and he was the English manager. And to be honest with you, I just don't have any plus feelings. I've got more negative feelings towards Gareth Southgate than I do plus feelings. But I can understand how much he grew at Aston Villa.
Don't like the way he left. Don't like that he said he wanted to go to a bigger club and went to Middlesbrough. But someone who conducted himself so well as captain of Aston Villa and playing for Aston Villa, and he was a good defender as well. Got himself in the England team for Euro 96 off the back of playing centre-back for Villa. If you speak to Brian Little about him at centre-back, Brian Little raves about him. It's the way he's left has soured it. But honestly, he was probably one of the best players, best centre-backs I've seen play for Villa. He was a really good defender and a really good leader. I don't know where to put him.
Midfielder as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, God knows how he was ever a midfielder, because he didn't always feel the best on the ball. He was a good reader of the game. I think if he hadn't left the way he did, he'd probably have a chance of club legend or icon. But I think because of the way he left, I'm going to have to put him in good, which doesn't sit great with me, to be honest. But I think if I put him anywhere else, I'm going to get panned.
He was better. Yeah, he was like, I can understand he was a really good player, but as I said, that that was just such a poor way to leave the club, especially when you had the captain's armband on, and like arguably it was as bad as Julian Lescott. The way that he left the club, the ending of his time. But I can respect him as being a really, really good player.
I'm sad to do it. Obviously, the shirt's behind me today as well, the Gareth Southgate shirt. But I'm sad to do that. But I can't put him in icon and club legend. But in some ways, I want to, but I can't. Not club legend. I think icon would be fair. But we'll put him where he is in good. Let us know in the comments what you think of Gareth Southgate. Is Kieran Clark as someone that got us sent down or was involved in us going down? Is he going way off our shoulders, or were we just being kind and putting him in average? He did used to make some rickets, didn't he, Kieran Clark? But then he did make one of the best slide tackles I've ever seen.
Yeah, I really wanted him to really kick on, and he did. He had a lot of caps for Ireland. I do think he was average though. I'd like again, weight off our shoulders are people that were like dire. I don't think he was dire.
No, scored a few goals. Good for a goal
was
off a set piece.
Yeah, I was disappointed when he went to Newcastle because I thought that because if I remember rightly, he went for half nothing as well, and I thought that the club didn't maximise the value from for him. And
Yeah, I'm not sure he had a lot long left on his contract.
that's true. Yeah,
I remember one of the first videos we did on the Villa View was me and Matt Lynch trying to choose between Kieran Clark and Nathan Baker and which one should stay. And I think I chose Baker and I think Matt Lynch chose Clark from what I remember. If you can dig out that video, I bet it's an absolute horror show. I think I was reading off a script as well. I'm Dan Bardell and today I'm going to be talking centre-backs, in particular Kieran Clark and Nathan Baker. Baker's and Clark's future have come a bit up in the air, so I don't know what I'm saying. But okay, we'll put him in average. Sean Teal, icon.
I think he's icon. That tash is iconic.
Oh, yeah, some great stories about Sean Teal.
Hardest man I've ever seen play for Aston Villa.
Yeah, absolutely. His kid was in my class at school, so he's one of my first ever interaction with a footballer will have been with Sean Teal. I still see him now, and he gives me a hug when he sees me and nearly breaks my ribs because he's so hard. But there's some great stories, like the after dinner circuit. Dean Saunders tells some good stories about Sean Taylor and Ron Atkinson. But I reckon he's the hardest person that's ever played for Villa in the Premier League era.
I think I've ever seen play for Aston Villa. I stopped and I went to think to see was there somebody else, but I don't remember. Like Villa are not known for their hard men.
No.
But for me, like, yeah, he was good. It was funny when we did the live show with Paul McGrath. I got on to Shaw Teal and I asked him if he would do because we asked him to come over and then we said, listen, if you just wanted to do like a 30-second best of luck, Paul, or whatever. And I forgot to edit it out at the end, and he's like, "Is that all right? I hope that's all right for you guys."
No,
now, is that all right? I left it in. I was like, "Oh shit!" And he said something like, "If he doesn't like it anyway, it's his own tough," or something along those lines. He said at the end. But yeah, he was a great sport. Obviously, had a brilliant partnership with McGrath, and yeah,
what a trophy! What a trophy! In you going icon, isn't it? Really,
for sure.
Yeah, you have to.
Next man probably has to follow him.
I was a bit stuck with this because I think I'm obviously going to try and do every position for these. So I think Staunton probably belongs in left backs, but he did play a lot of games at centre back, so he's going to be in both. I could have put Gareth Barry in here as well because he played games at centre back for Villa in the back three under John Gregory, but he came into being a midfielder, really, didn't he? In the end, Gareth Barry. So I didn't put him in, but I did put Steve Staunton in there. So there's kind of two versions of Steve Staunton almost. There was the left back in the very early days of the Premier League. And then he came back to Villa for another spell and was a centre-back. He played other games for centre-back at Villa as well. Absolutely sensational left foot. One of the best left foots I've ever seen in my life at Villa Park. Think he goes icon as well?
I think he has to. I think regardless of whether it's centre-halves or what, he scored goals from corners.
Yeah.
I think he scored that goal against Man United where it just leaves his foot and goes right in the top corner is, yeah. And look, I know I'm trying out my Irish bias, but Paddy would have him in the God section.
Would it? Oh yeah, he would, wouldn't it?
Paddy's named his kid after him and everything, so it's yeah. I met Mr. Staunton recently and after the Celtic game, and yeah, he's not man for the limelight, put it that way, but we'll put him in the icon section. We'll give him his limelight here.
I can't believe Paddy called his son Stan Staunton. Absolutely unbelievable. John Terry, icon for one season. Good. Definitely
He's definitely good. Definitely good
for now. Could you make an argument for icon, or do you think just good?
We didn't do anything with it. We got to the playoff final, yeah, but we didn't get it. We didn't go up. Like when Ugo was on the 96 team, okay, yes, he didn't play. Or did he play that?
He played 96. Played 96.
He played 96. He was there in 94. He was on the panel in 94.
Yeah, he wasn't. It wasn't a sub because there was only 3 subs in those days. I remember him celebrating in one of those Larry tracksuits that I wish I had. Yeah, John Terry good. I think he's
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the next guy goes in funny.
Oh, yeah. He was a nutcase as well.
Absolute bonkers.
I mean, we talked about, like, I was looking at this and thinking, if all these players were to have a Royal Rumble, I think Sean Teal might win. But then Chris Samba and Alpay would probably be somewhere in the mix for this.
Yeah. They're like Undertaker and Kane. And then Sean Teal is like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah. Alpay was nuts.
Just like
Literally nuts.
the stories that they used to come out about him for people who've never, and but a really, really good footballer. Really
He's a
good
great
footballer.
defender. My God. I used to love it when he used to run to the Holt before a game and he'd just roar at the Holt before the start of every single game. He did that for a year and a half and then got injured and then came back after a great World Cup for Turkey and just completely lost his head.
Yeah, and was talking in the media and every time he went back to Turkey saying, can't wait to kind of get out of Villa and stuff like that. But he was, yeah, something clicked in his brain and he went absolutely loco.
Yeah, he really
But
did.
he should really have gone into films as being a villain because he had that villainous look about him and everything. There was a 2-year period or a 18-month period where I couldn't hear a bad word said about him until that very moment where something just went click, and then
Oh, he
he
went
just turned
nuts.
into a head the ball altogether.
He came back from that World Cup in 2002. And I remember there was murmurs about big clubs were really looking at him because he got in the team of the tournament, didn't he? Which is a really good feat. To get in a World Cup team of the tournament, you're a good player. And I remember seeing him in Sutton Coldfield Town Centre as a youngster. And in those days, I was a bit sure of myself. And I went up and started talking to him and asked him if he was going to stay. And he was like, yes, I stay. And then the next day in the newspaper, he was like, Alpay wants requests transfer at Villa. I was thinking, he lied to me, lied to my face.
A super partnership between himself and Melberg as well.
Oh, yeah, that was a good partnership.
Cracker of a partnership again, but just like the way what like the stories that would come out about him, while he was injured and stuff were just like he lived his life during that period of time.
Yeah, absolute psychopath.
Yeah.
A nice way to end it with a trip down memory lane of Alpay's time at Villa, and generally just not a nice trip down memory lane anyway. So to sum it up, Neil, we've got one in the God section. That's Paul McGrath. We've got Larson, Melberg, Mings, and Conser in club legend. In icon, we have Hugo, James Chester, Sean Teal, the hardest man in football, and Steve Staunton. In good, Gary Cahill, Axel Tuanzebe, Richard Dunn, Pau Torres, Ronnie Johnson, Ron Vlaar, Carlos Quella, Gareth Southgate, John Terry.
Yeah, there's a couple of those could be an average, but we'll leave them where they are. I think they can be the talking points. Discuss it amongst yourselves in the comments.
Average. The people that are antagonistic in the comments don't really tend to watch these ones, so we'll be okay. People that just want to watch current stuff sometimes, but some people like a trip down memory lane, so I like to cater for everything. In average, we've got James Collins, Tommy Elphick, Diego Carlos, Ricardo Skimeka, Nathan Baker, Zat Knight, Courtney Hawes, Curtis Davis, and Kieran Clark. In funny, we have Liam Ridgewell, Yoris Okore, Chris Samba, and Alpay. And in the bottom section that no one wanted to be, in the weight off our shoulders section, we have Bjorn Engels, Jolyon Lescott, and Micah Richards. Neil, overall, happy with how that's gone?
I'm happy. It was nice. As you said, these are a good trip down memory lane. There's a couple of guys there that I didn't think I'd be talking about ever again that played for Aston Villa. So it's they're nice. And it's only when you hear their name, you do rekindle those memories as well. So yeah, thanks a million for having me on to do it.
My pleasure. I mean, I think this classes as long form content. 51 minutes talking about obscure Villa centre halves at times. I think that probably qualifies as long form content. But hopefully you're enjoying the variety of content on the channel. We've done a few of these tier lists now, so go back and watch the other ones we've done if that's your thing. If it's not, that's absolutely fine. Just keep watching the other content, the current day content. That's fine as well. If you have watched via YouTube and you're not subscribed, if you could do that, that would be absolutely brilliant. Subscribe with your post notifications on. Give us a like and leave us a comment with your thoughts on Neil and mine selection today. Audio, Apple and Spotify, reviews, 5 stars preferably, comments, and that would be great on the audio platforms if you could. If you could do all the things I've just mentioned on Neil's channel as well, for the love of Paul McGrath, that would be absolutely brilliant. Neil, I know you're keen to get some more subscribers after a lavish purchase recently. Need to get the subscribers up and the views up to cover your lavish purchase that you made.
Yeah.
Do you want to get it? Do you want to get it out? You got it? You must have it handy.
You know when, hopefully if I ever make it really, really big and somebody asks me, what's the most insane thing that you think you've ever bought in your life? I think it's going to be this. I don't think
my word.
It's going to top the wrestling belt, the Aston Villa wrestling belt. I don't think anything is going to top this. And I remember I bought it, and I remember like thinking, why?
I don't know why.
I had come into a considerable amount of fortune at the time, and so I shouldn't get anything really, because I'll spend it in stuff like that.
Neil would not make a good sporting director. He'd, every
No,
time a player came up, Neil would be like, let's just buy him. We can afford it. Let's just buy
I
Neil as
will
well.
say it's incredible. It's like the weight of this thing is unbelievable. You wouldn't believe it's
It looks
like
heavy.
it's solid steel. Like it's absolute
Wow,
solid steel and proper
that
leather.
noise it made then.
Yeah.
If you're listening via audio, Neil is holding up an Aston Villa WWE belt, which I believe retails at £500 from
It
the Villa
was,
shop. Neil really doing his bit for PSR this summer.
yeah, that's exactly it. It was my bit for PSR. But I remember Hawksby it wasn't. It was Andy Goldstein and Cundy and Talksport late at night. They used to get a famous footballer on and ask him what the most stupid purchase was. And some of them were like, "Oh, I bought a Trilby hat for like $4,500." Like that. That's I don't think there can be anything that's going to top that for me. Like, what was I thinking? But still, I have it. It's part of memorabilia.
Yeah, I did see someone else on Twitter post one the other day that he had arrived, or on Facebook. I saw one, and it made me laugh. Be honest, have you told your other half that you've made that purchase and how much it was?
I haven't told her how much it cost at all. No,
She doesn't come down to I can see the studio, your kind of man cave. She doesn't come down here. She doesn't need to know.
No. It's a need to know basis. No, it's absolutely fine. No, but that thing was yeah. And if she took one look at it anyway, she go, "Oh yeah, 50 quid." I'm
Yeah.
like, yes. Yeah.
Add a zero. It'd be funny if someone found your wife on social media and messaged her to say, "Ask Neil how much that WWE belt was." That'd be anyway. If anyone can do that, that's your chance to win a WWE belt. Aston Villa WWE belt.
I'm
It's
sure
funny as well,
Paddy's gonna let it slip at some stage.
yeah,
About how
he
much
knows.
it cost.
Obviously, we talked about WWE as well. Neil will be fighting Sean Teal in the coming weeks, so watch out for that. You can get your tickets for Neil.
Yeah, loser
Sean
shaves
Teal.
after moustache.
Neil, Sean Teal, Chris Samba, and Alpa in the ring to win Neil's belt. Well, I'd pay good money to watch that. In
I'd
fairness,
pay good money to be a part of it. I think it'd be great fun to get the tar beat out of you by those guys.
you know what's quite sad is because I already did my outro. People have probably switched off and they'll have missed out on that content. So I'll have to clip it up and put it on on social so that people see it. But yes, thank you ever so much to Neil, the WWE fan, for joining me today to go through Villa centre backs in the Premier League era. Thank you to Match Bingo as well, and thank you to you, the viewer and the listener. Only one thing left to say: keep watching the content and up the Villa. That's two things. That was really, really clever. Up the Villa, Neil.
Up the Villa.